All right, guys, here we go. We're going to be doing the install for the Gen 2 TopoCharge in an R1S here. Just as a heads up, this is including the install of the wiring harness, so this is different from before. First thing you're going to want to do is just remove the OEM mat. Oh, you know what? I'm going to point this out. If you see along here on the front edge, this is from OEM. Look at, there's a gap. You know, it's not perfect. This wood's not perfect ever, so different for each vehicle. So anyway, we're going to take that out. And you're going to have 3 clips here. 1, 2, 3 on either side. We're going to push these out of the way. You can use your fingers and kind of lift up. The other thing you can go ahead and do, let's use my student ID, or my teacher ID, I should say. And you can just kind of clip it in on the edge, and then kind of lift it up, and then it lifts up out of the way. And what we're going to go ahead and do is go ahead and rotate this upside down. A very thin one if possible, and I'm just using kind of an electronic screwdriver here. There is a little white plastic piece on the connector, and what we want to do is pull that out. So I'm going to use a small screwdriver, and I'm going to push down and push out. And this might be a little hard, and you can see it kind of clipped out. Once that's all the way out, you're set. We're done with the screwdriver. This comes the harder part. Now, what you want to do is push down on the plastic, the black piece. There's like a little clip there that you're going to push down, and you want to go back and forth and pull this out. I'm going to tell you, the first time you do this, it's going to be extremely difficult. It's really in there. I happen to just remove this one just to test everything. It really is sticks in there. You could try using a screwdriver to kind of push down and kind of get a little leverage, but be careful because you could like scratch up or even break this connector, so you do want to be careful with that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take this out to a table outside of the vehicle to make life a little bit easier. Okay. So here we are inside. We're going to go ahead and take the OEM charger. We're going to start taking this apart in just a second. As a reminder, in your kit, you're going to have the injection molded base for the Gen 2 vehicle. You're also going to have the newer, thicker top mat that kind of has the MagSafe chargers go into the mat, so we can keep it a little thicker and at the same time have a good charging speed. And then you also have our wiring harness, along with the 2 USB-C ports that allow for fast charging with the new MagSafe pucks, as well as the Pixel Snap charger, so up to 25 watts with both of those. So first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is start taking apart this OEM charger. Now, I've taken apart this several times, but I went ahead and put back the OEM tape here. There should be 3 pieces here, I believe. You're going to have tape here, tape along here, and tape here. It's just to keep the, if like you spill moisture, it keeps it from actually going into the charger. So we're just going to remove this, and what I've been actually doing is just kind of attaching it to the back here, just to kind of leave it there so I still have it, just in case. And I'm going to go ahead and start removing some of these parts. I'm going to remove first the screws, these smaller screws. And then we're going to go ahead and keep those 4 aside here. And then we're going to use these. And we're going to go ahead and remove the NFC antenna. There's our nice charger. And then you're going to have 4 bolts here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've already removed 2, and I'll get the last ones out. And I believe this is a T15. Yes, so T15, go ahead and remove these. Okay, we're going to remove this from the charger. And with your extra 2 T15 bolts, what I like to do is actually go ahead and I'm going to take the, so I don't lose them, I'm going to go ahead and connect them to the frame, and I'm going to use these later. The other 2. So I'm just going to put 2 connected to the frame, and I'm going to save 2 for the install later on. And then I'm going to place back let's go ahead and grab the charger here, the OEM charger, as well as the MagSafe NFC antenna. We're going to line this up properly. And using the T5 bit, put this back together again. So now we're going to go to the injection molded base. And I'm going to actually use two different pucks here. Both of these fit, and we're going to have two options. So you can purchase either a Pixel Snap charger, which I really like. Now, I'm going to let you know that if you have a very thick case or an older iPhone, so older than an iPhone 17 Pro, or iPhone 17, I should say, I actually recommend the Pixel Snap charger. I've been finding that with any thick cases, or even the older iPhones, that the brand new Qi 2.2, and this is model A3502, this MagSafe doesn't like big cases. Now, the previous design to this, so previous to 3502, worked fine with thick cases, but this newer one that's Qi 2.2 certified does not work well with it. Tested this over multiple different phones, cases, and tested all sorts, and this didn't work as well. The Pixel Snap, however, would always charge every single time, or the older version to this. Now, if you do have an iPhone Pro or an iPhone 17, any of the variations, be it the Pro, Pro Max, or even the new ones, I actually do recommend the new MagSafe, as long as it's going to be naked, so no case, an Apple case. The Pika cases work well as the Peak design. Those have been ones that we've tested, and they work great. However, with this one, and say like a carved case, which is actually very thick, has wood on the backside of it, this would not work with the iPhone Pro 17 Max. That was the one I was testing on. It did not function. However, the Pixel Snap worked just fine. So if you want to play it safe, the Pixel Snap will work. Charges just as fast, if not faster, than the MagSafe across the board. Now, the difference between how these fit in here does make a difference. If you look really carefully, this is about 0.5 millimeters thicker, the Pixel Snap. So there will be a very slight bump that isn't really noticeable, and I'll show you when this is all said and done, because I'm going to install both of these into here. But there will be a feel to the mat that doesn't feel completely flush. This has actually been designed around the MagSafe, and originally we didn't know that there was going to be another option. If I would have known that, I would have made this a little deeper, but molds are already created, and it is what it is. So we have both of these options, though, at least. So naked phone, any Apple case, or like the Pika or the Peak design, all of those work great, as well as with this, and it will get up to about 21, 22 watts. So very little loss in charging speed via heat or distance, anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and set this one up on the driver's side, so or excuse me, the passenger side. So I'm going to slide this through. Okay, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is just go ahead and slide that in like that. Now, this will stay flush with the mat on there, but if you're a little bit crazy, like I am, and want to make sure that everything stays perfectly flat, I'm just going to use a little piece of 300 LSE double-sided tape. This is a 3M product. This works great. I'm just going to put just a little piece right here, and this is as thin as it comes for double-sided tape. Works really well. Okay, there's the 300 LSE. We're just going to push that down. Locks in place. With the Pixel Snap, due to the thickness of the wire, I actually recommend using the double-sided tape. So you'll see me use it on this side. With the MagSafe, it actually stays really flat, even with it without it. So it doesn't bounce around like when you lift your phone up. But I was finding that the Pixel Snap was bouncing a bit, and it has to do with this thicker wire right here when it's leaving the puck. So I'll go ahead and get a piece on here, and it doesn't require much. It's just a little piece. Get that in there. And we're just going to make sure that this is perfectly flush all the way down, and it is. So if you look here, Pixel Snap's a little bit thicker, so by 0.5 millimeters, but when you put on the mat, it doesn't really show itself. All right, now this is the worst part. What we're gonna go ahead and do now is follow these tracks for the wire, and we're just gonna push these down into these tracks. And the way I found it is to kind of stretch it out, put my finger here, loop around this, then move my finger here, stretch it out. Okay, and once you've kind of routed it properly, you'll kind of see it sticking up a little bit here, but that's fine, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit. Just going to use a little piece of tape. I don't want to deal with these when I'm sticking in the charger. So I'm just going to put this tape down. I'm going to push down for the first area, push it down, tape it down, go to the next one, push it down, tape it down, and then the next one, push it down, tape it down, and then last but not least, push down the last one, push it down, and tape it down. Okay, so that will get that and hold that in place. Any excess you can just fold over like so. And then let's do the pixel snap side, and I've actually found that the pixel snap works a little bit better. Okay, and I'm gonna make sure that this doesn't pop up as well. Just use a little piece of blue tape. I notice that I'm not really caring how much I put in here, as long as it stays against this edge, and then just fold that over. Just kind of holding it in place. That way I don't have to worry about it here in a second. Okay, once that's in, you'll see that the wires are coming in at these edges, and that will work great. And we're gonna take the OEM charger, we're gonna slide it in underneath like so, and just drop this down. Okay, so once it's in like so, we're gonna take the 2 OEM screws here, and we're just gonna go ahead and tighten this in. Now this is a very tight screw-in procedure here. This is to make sure that this stays in place, so don't be surprised if it does take a little bit of difficulty here. I find that like a thicker screwdriver handle makes a huge difference. This is all placed, and that's looking good. Now, let's go ahead and grab our wiring harness. And we're going to take the side that kind of has this little clip that's going to be pointing up. I'm going to slide that in, clip it in like so. I'm going to leave this alone, and then we have our 2 USB ports here. Now, what I like to do is I'm going to go ahead and hide some of my wires here underneath these 2 legs. Like so. And then I'm going to do the same with the USB ports. And I'm going to go ahead and plug this in like so. And that can go ahead and, I might need a little bit more, and that will stay flat there. And the main thing is that we're trying to keep this below this edge. And that will hold it in place. And when you drop this in, they might move a little bit. So if you just want to play it safe, you know, let's make it a little easier on us. No reason to reinvent the wheel here. So let's just go ahead, put that so. And that way we don't have to worry about it. Okay. We just want to keep these in these 2 spots away from everything. And there we go. Okay. Then we can take our mat, drop that in, and there's 2 plugs here at the very tip, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of push these in, grab it from this side, and help it through. We're just going to go ahead and get this going so that it's ready to go, and now we can go ahead and install this in the truck. So let's do that next. Okay, so here we are in the R1S, and we're going to go ahead and install the TopoCharge into the vehicle. So we've got the base, it's ready to go. I went ahead and removed the mat from the base, and I'm going to first connect the from the truck to our wiring harness. I'm just going to go ahead and connect that, and I'm going to make sure that the 2 USB chargers light up. I have a blue light on both of these. If you're missing a blue light, double check these connections, double check that these are plugged in and your USB-C. That will confirm that those are working properly. And this wire that's coming from the truck or the SUV, or the R1 I should say, is going to be really long. So I'm just going to kind of stuff this inside. There's a little cavity that the wire comes from, and I'm just going to stuff that inside so I don't have to deal with as much wire. And I'm just going to make sure that this connector kind of lays flat when I slide this in. There's going to be 2 hooks on the very back side of the base that slide into 2 holes on the back, kind of like the OEM charger. And then I'm going to just drop this in. That's getting in the way, so let me fix that. There we go. And then that's going to lay flat and in. Now there's 3 hooks here along the front that hooks in. They have separate plugs, and if you want to remove them, you just push these back and then lift out the base. Then we're going to take our mat, our new thicker mat. I'm going to slide in the back side first. Makes it a little easier. And you're going to have the 2 plugs in the front that go into the base. To get those through the base, just kind of rub your thumb along the 2 points of it, and then they will slide in. You might need to do it a few times just to make sure it connects. And that's it. And it's installed. It's completely flush. The new knife edge really comes to a point, so it really creates a nice seamless transition along the edge. And you can tell that here, like, if I were to touch my hand along here, you'll feel that the pixel snap is a little bit higher. However, the MagSafe puck is completely flush, and we'll go ahead and test this to make sure that they're charging. There's 1. And there's 2. It's charging. I can go ahead and lift this up again. And there's 2. And there we go. That's working great. If you ever need to remove this to clean, just lift it up, pull it out, and you can clean it. But otherwise, it makes a really clean install. It looks beautiful. Nice flush edges. Covers a little bit more of the front, just in case if you have a gap. And I'm really happy with it. Hopefully you are too.